Um, Something's going to come up where I'm going to be going to London in 3 weeks' time, uh, spending 7 nights in Whitechapel. Really interesting part of the world. I love, fascinated with the East End of London. I'm going to be spending a few nights in Kent, but I was talking to Sean Atwood, and I said, Sean, how come you've never really done like Jack the Ripper? Because obviously he's got a massive following, but he's never really focused on anything in Britain. It's always been, well, he's with the royal family and he's the mafia and all the kind of things Sean's done. Pablo Escobar, and I said, have you ever thought about getting like ripperologists on? And he was like, no, what's that? And for anyone who doesn't know what a ripperologist is, it's someone who's been to university, college, and studied Jack the Ripper, clues in the name, ripperologist. That's actually what they call them. There's quite a few really, really top ripperologists in Britain. People like Donald Rumbelow, Martin Fido was up there, he died last year. Richard Jones, Lindsay Civita. And I said, Sean, it's an absolute no-brainer because obviously Sean's very much into British crime. And I said, Sean, this is the biggest whodunit in British criminal history. It's like there's nothing bigger, certainly in Scotland Yard's history. And it was never solved in what we are now, 133 years, is it? 133 years this summer. Obviously, they called it the Autumn of Terror. And obviously, I've done quite a lot of true crime books. Your Lee Duffy's, your Paul Sykes, Roy Shaw's, Dominic Negus's. And I was talking to Sean last night and I said, Sean, I actually got involved. I got fascinated with, that was the first thing I ever got interested in, was Jack the Ripper. Like, I was in primary school, so I was like 10, 11. And I was talking to Sean last night and I said, well, are you familiar with the East End, like Brick Lane, Whitechapel, Bethnal Green, Mile End, Stepney? He said, no. And I actually probably know more about Jack the Ripper than your Lee Duffy's and your Paul Sykes put together. I'm kind of maybe like you're almost an unqualified ripperologist. And what we've agreed, myself and Sean, is we're going to be going on the East End, and we're going to be basically doing an East End special. So we're going to be myself and Sean Atwood and the camera team. We're going to be going around to many of the murder sites with the Jack the Ripper, but also the Cray twins, because obviously they're a huge part of the East End history, tradition, even bits of the boxing, it's Michael Caine said in his book, a few people have said it over the years, growing up in the East End, unless you were a footballer or a boxer, and very, very few were an actor, you didn't make it. You had to fight your way out of the East End. And that's the reason why there's been so many very talented fighters from the East End. Your John Gardners, your John H. Stracey's. There's so many. They used to do it in the schools in the 50s, and there's so many people in the East End who grew up learning how to box. So it's like a huge tradition. So I'm going to be going around with Sean Atwood, and we're just going to be basically going around. I'm going to be home to catch up with Gary Shaw, because we're planning on making the Roy Shaw documentary. Obviously, Roy Shaw was he was born in Stepney. So, there's a saying which you're not a proper Cockney unless you're born within the sound of the Bow Bells. And so myself and Sean, we're going to be hanging around lots of police cheese and all this kind of, when you think of the proper Cockney, there's very few of them left, to be honest, because in the, let's be honest, if you kind of walk down Whitechapel Road, there's not many people that probably even speak English. So the traditional Cockney of the pie and mash, jelly deals, Chas and Dave, apples and pears. It's all gone. It's a thing of history. You know, most of them moved out in the 80s and certainly the 90s. So I myself and Sean we're going to be going around and just filming lots of kind of East End history. You know, I mean, Sean lives in Surrey, I think he is. And I was talking to him, and I said, I was telling him some things, and he said, I've never heard of him. And I was like, where have you been for the last couple of years? But obviously, he spent a large number of years abroad. You know, and I mean, Sean's kind of. I work with Sean. I have a great love for him. I work with him on a professional basis with the books as well. Excuse me, and yeah, he's you know, he gets a rough deal from certain people, but he's a success, and a lot of the people they don't even know him, and he's inspirational to me. I was talking last night, and I said, Sean doesn't ever get you down a bit. And then he was like, nah, I love it. I don't, you know, and he's kind of like how if you need to work, if you work in the spotlight in the media, you know, you probably should need to be a bit like Sean Atwood. I remember talking to James English a while back, and he said, "Nah," he said, I just look at them as mad losers when people are saying all the nasty things, and obviously, I mean, I couldn't have done this before because my anxiety was pretty bad. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of you have noticed. So I'm a lot better now, thanks to the cannabis oil, new hemp. So myself and Sean, we're going to be going on the East End and just filming lots of videos, tradition, Cray Twins, Jack the Ripper, lots of other, you know, Roy Shaw, obviously Lenny McLean was an East Ender. There's a lot of real East Enders. I want to take Sean to maybe the Repton Club, you know, up and down Commercial Street, the 10 Bells, where many of the Jack the Ripper victims drank. Yeah, lots of things like that. So I'm going to educate Sean in the East End. One of my favourite places in the world. There's a saying which is something like, when a man gets tired of London, he gets tired of life. And yeah, it's a really fascinating place, London. It really is. But yeah, so that's coming up. And what else am I going to be? I'm going to actually be filming in Sean's studio, myself and Alex Reid. Obviously, many of you know he's how can I put it? He's on holiday, an all-inclusive stay in Pentonville prison. Yeah, he's got a couple of weeks. He was in the national press. So myself and Alex, we're going to go into Sean's studio in Surrey. Obviously, because I've got Alex Reid's book. So Alex will be kind of giving his lowdown of where he's been living these last couple of weeks. I'm sure that'll be interesting. And then myself and Sean Atwood, we're going to go out, hang around a lot of the East End and just get a bit of the history. And, you know, because I said, Sean, how come when you think of the podcasts in Britain, there's no one's really, you know, and Sean Atwood is huge in America. So, and obviously Jack the Ripper is like, but I probably would say the biggest whodunit in maybe not British crime, but maybe in the world. I don't know. It's you know, how many films has there been? There's Johnny Depp and Michael Caine and all this, and you know, with Jack the Ripper now, there's actually 200 suspects. There's a lot of absolutely absurd, ludicrous ones. You know, members of the royal family that started from 1970. Oscar Wilde has been alleged to be Jack the Ripper. The painter Walter Sickert. The Elephant Man, John Merrick. There's some ridiculous, but also there's some really strong suspects as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to, because I'm fascinated. I'm absolutely fascinated, and I started getting involved. My interest in true crime, as I said, I was in primary school, so I was a pretty strange kid, to be honest. And I'm probably pretty much like it, still the same. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hanging around with Sean and putting a few ripperologists his way. But yeah, don't forget to click and subscribe to this channel, guys. The lads in the Warcry publishing office run this. I don't run it, but they tell me that there's some quite nice comments. So thank you so much for listening. And I'm myself, when I'm in the East End, I'm going to be filming maybe 50 videos, you know, just boxing, Jack the Ripper, the Craze, Roy Shaw there. Gary gave me that for doing his dad's book. So yeah, lots of kind of, as I said, the East End of London, in my eyes, maybe barring Glasgow, well, along with Glasgow, is probably the most fascinating place in the world. So yeah, there's going to be lots more coming on this channel. Thank you so much for listening to me, guys. God bless. Don't forget to click and subscribe. Thank you.